Now we're going to go through the data import and export module. Here you can export half-hourly data en masse from the system, large amounts of data, and you can also import meaningful data such as production values, targets or benchmarks. Going into the data import export module, first of all I will show you how to export the data. And what I want to do is export the last year's worth of data for the schools. So I'm going to go into create new, a new export. And I've already got a list here that was stored previously, but I want to create a new meter list just for the schools. So I'm going to go into create new, and I'm going to call it schools. And using my filters, first of all, I only want the real meters. So I'm going to select real only. I want the classification to be schools, and I want the utility to be electricity. So that brings it down to 4 meters, but there's 8 channels, and that's because you can export the kilowatt hour data and the reactive data together. So I'm going to select all, and I'm not going to export the reactive data on here. I'm going to select next, and I'm going to select the data download format. Now the data download format is your traditional half-hourly format. The new format also gives you the unit type, but I'm going to use a traditional half-hourly format. So I'm going to select next, and I want it for all days of the week, so I'm going to leave that selected as default for me. And I'm going to select it static or dynamic. I'm going to select dynamic, and I'm going to say the previous month. I only want 1 month. Previous year, and I only want 1 year, but the data goes back further than that. So if you wanted the previous 3 years, you could expand on that and put that this duration to 2 or 3. I'm going to select next, and the user's email address will be there as standard, but you can also put an external recipient in there, or multiple external recipients, if the person that requires the file doesn't have access to the system. But I'm just going to select my name here and select next, and this just tells me a summary page here, tells me what I'm going to be exporting the data for and what I've called the meter list. And do I want to save the options as a template? Yes, I do. And that just means that you don't have to run through these steps again. You can create it from a template when you next come into the export module. And I'm going to call it 2018 We also recommend that you attach the email, and it's a compressed zip file, and that just means that if there's any restrictions on the email account, the amount of data you can send, it's zipped, so you can send more data. But if you select the attach export to email, the user will not have to come back into the system when they receive the file. So I'm just going to select finish here, and in the search bar at the top, I'm just going to go 20, just call this schools, and there you can see my export is running currently. It's pending, but I've asked it to run now, and when it's complete, this section here will be populated and the status will go to complete. I will receive an email, but you can also access the information from the system here. And if I go back to the import of data and select import data, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to import occupancy levels at a school, and I'm going to create a new list. So I'm going to create new, And here I need to upload a CSV or Excel file with the numbers in. So if I just go to browse, and I've called my file students, and that's the number of students at the school. It's for the month of for the year of 2018, but for the individual months, I've broken it down. So if I select open, and is it for multiple sites or meters? No, it's not. So I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to select next. My school, here's Omega demo, and here it will ask me to put the unit in. So I've got all these options here. I'm just going to put the unit in there. Utility type, what do I want the file, the folder name to be called? If it's the target, obviously you want to put it in the target folder. I'm going to call this production. I'm going to put this into a production folder. And select next. Now here, it's asking me where the data starts. So in what cell does the data start? So it's in B1. And do I want the values to be imported or accumulating? No, I don't. I want them to be individual values. That just means it'll roll over and accumulate the data. I just want it to be an actual value, so I'm going to select no. And then it's asking me for the first cell that contains the date, and that is cell A1. Now it's asking me if the data runs down or across the page. It runs down. And also, does it contain a time? It doesn't contain a time because it's at a monthly level. You can import this data from yearly right down to half hourly. So if it was a half hourly file and it was in the same cell, you would select yes because it contains the time in there. If the time was different to the date, then you'd say no and you'd put the first cell where the time starts. So I'm just going to click next. And do I want to save these options as a template? Yes, I do. And give it a name and then select finish. And as you can see, I've submitted the data. It will load into the system. So this may take up to 5 minutes depending on how much data you're going to import. Once it's complete, I will go back into the data analysis and show you how you can overlay that information. You can have up to 5 production targets or benchmarks per site. So if you wanted occupancy levels, then you wanted square meter information, you can have up to 5 on here per site, and you can upload it. So I've just uploaded the data for 2018 at a monthly level. Once you get that information, if you get that monthly for 2019, you might already want to put January and February's information into the system. Just wait for that to refresh. And if I come back to data analysis and new report, see if that's created. So in test site 1, got the production, and there the information is here. So it's called students. If I go into the electricity folder again and we select the meter for 2018, so we'll do Jan 2018 to December 2018. Select update. You can see that's the consumption data. If I go back into the meter tree and I want to add students, select update. You can see there's another axis on the right hand side that indicates the student information. So if I right click on one of the student bars, select series option, you might want to change that to a line chart just to show the information. So from February, March, you can see the student numbers are going up, and this is how you can tell. Using the virtual meter field, we can also create a per meter. So if I go back to my sites, I'll link in the new tab, come into here, and we'll go to virtual meters and select new virtual meter, and we'll call this test site 1 per. And I want to put this into a real site folder, which is maybe demo. Select the utility type, so where do we want it? I'm going to put this in the electricity folder. And what I'm going to do here is in test site 1, I'm going to click on the meter, and I'm going to normalize that information by the students. Here you can also multiply sites together, sum them up if you wanted all the schools together, but I'm just normalizing it. So what is the kilowatt hour usage per student? So I'm going to select save, and that's now built. So if I go back to data analysis, select new report, meters, I'm going to test site 1, electricity, and you can see there's a meter called test site 1 per student. So if I click on there and select, let's do to December 18, select update. At a monthly level, you can see in September 2018 we used 511 kilowatt hours, just over, per student. It's quite a lot, really. But you can see that information there. So you can use it in 2 different areas. You can overlay the report, or you can use it to normalize that information. Okay, thank you very much.